Not long ago, a former colleague of mine contacted me to ask whether or not the United States was going to default and possibly go belly up financially and politically as a result of the current standoff between Republicans and Democrats in the congressional halls of the United States. I spent about 5 or 10 minutes explaining the rationale for the situation as I saw it, uh, not just in my position as an observer, but probably by default uh, from my position as a registered Republican. The person that had called me was a registered Democrat, and yet, despite our party differences, we could both trade friendly comments and constructive comments back and forth about the situation. Part of the issue with the United States government is not just an issue of overspending and irresponsible use of funds garnered from hardworking taxpayers. It is also about the lack of ethical control and moral um, devotion by our public servants to the people that they are supposed to serve, not to be served by, unfortunately, which is more the case. The people are now serving Congress rather than Congress serving the people. We call our representatives in Congress lawmakers, and that is indeed one of their functions, but it should not be their sole function or even their main function. Their function is to act as one of the three main branches of the government of the United States, including the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch. Those three branches, and especially as we're speaking right now, Congress itself, should not only be involved in legislation, but should be involved in reviewing the legislation that has been proposed and has been erected through the decades to sort out the riprap of laws. I believe for example, the current tax code of the United States is over 70,000 pages. So you can imagine the hundreds of thousands of pages that various laws and statutes on a federal level, on a state level, on a local level, on a municipal level, just how many reams of paper that takes up, and probably how many hallways a single copy of it would fill. The volume of laws inscribed in that pile of paperwork is certainly not essential to the survival of the United States or to our principles. And yet, it seems, from an outside viewpoint, that one of the greatest badges of honor that our Congress, our congressional representatives can sport before us is a number of laws that they've introduced in Congress and that have been passed. This is one of their greatest accomplishments, and it shouldn't be. The greatest accomplishment that members of Congress at any level, whether federal or state, local level, your representatives are not primarily your lawmakers. They should be primarily your representatives representing your interests. I believe it's obvious, no matter whether you're Republican or Democrat or someplace in between, an independent, wherever you sit on the political axis, that party politics has combined with a lack of moral and ethical orientation on the part of the individual that enters Congress or that enters your municipal government to be able to take into account the moral and ethical principles that he should have been born and inculcated with and apply them to his behavior when he's considering laws, passing laws, or supporting the enforcement of laws. In partial support of this preface, I'm going to be reading next a long passage written by one of our country's greatest founding patriots, and a controversial one, Samuel Adams.